dedication of Herbst Hall is well-deserved. You have made a huge difference at UConn and have earned a distinguished place in its long history.
I usually don't like to read remarks, even my own remarks, but Susan accomplished so much that I really have to take my glasses and read point by point, because I really want to give her credit for everything that she done for us in 8 years as a service. And I always call Susan my president, because I was recruited and she became president. And all the time, people know Susan as a president that was transformational, but I know Susan as a mentor. I know Susan as a funny person. I know Susan as somebody who bakes all the time. And she prepares the party for everybody. So let me start by Susan's accomplishments. So in 8 years as a president of UConn, Susan Herbst oversaw increase in applications and enrollment, massive renovation and new constructions of the classroom, lab space, student residence hall, athletic facility, and more at UConn stores. The creation of the student housing at UConn Stamford, new facilities and construction at UConn Avery Point and UConn Waterbury, the relocation of UConn Hartford to a spectacular downtown campus, the Bioscience Connecticut initiative at UConn Health, the hiring of hundreds of tenure-track faculty members, increased financial aid for students, national championship in women's basketball, men's basketball, and field hockey. She met President Obama I don't know how many times. I'm jealous. And much more. I could easily talk all afternoon about the transformation that Susan brought to UConn. She came to a university that had been steadily improving for several years, but she started immediately. The day one she walked the campus, she says, we have to beautify it. She always had her notes written on her wrist, okay? And she was an amazing leader. I remember when we lost in the finals and we were preparing for the session at the state, and she says, I'm not coming, and then she calls at 10 p.m. and she says, I'm coming. And she had all the tattoos, all the remarks on her wrist. So she was really somebody who we all learn a lot, to speak the truth, to be strong, to strive for what is the best for this institution, to work hard. She had her moral compass. She has a good eye for the beauty, but good knows when something goes wrong. And that's the most difficult. So Susan has been remarkable. Susan, we are all here to celebrate you, your accomplishment, but what a true scholar. Now she goes and challenges students. And that's the way how we give back. She goes to the classroom, she spends time listening, having the dialogue, debate, and at the end of the day, she tells them she loves them. And there is nobody at the campus in Stafford during the COVID shutdown. I asked student, what are you doing? And she says, I'm pulling garbage bins because I cannot stand it's not clean. So that's Susan. There's somebody who cares 100% for this institution, for our students, and who is an amazing scholar. So I can go on, but I want Chairman Dan Toscano to take over and talk about his experience and his take on everything that Susan done for him, for Board of Trustee, and for our community. Susan, thank you both from the bottom of my heart, and I love you.
Don't follow Gino. Don't follow Rudenka. With that, my comments are done. Thank you all for coming, and a packed room really kind of says it all. I went to school here many years ago and left, like a lot of us, and never came back. The person who invited me back is sitting here today. And I would say I was kind of asleep on UConn. I knew it. I went to games and I considered myself a loyal alum, and I wrote a little check every year, but I never really got the inspiration until Susan introduced me to the campus. And I said, what can I do? And she said, get involved. And I got hooked, and here I am today, still hooked, trying to escape, but I can't seem to figure out how to do that. I went to school here in the 80s, as many of us did, 1980s, just to be clear. And I know what this place was like. In fact, I think where we are right now was a road. And the co-op, if anyone remembers the old co-op, was right, kind of right there. And I think this building sort of is one of the big symbols of the transformation that has happened on this campus. But it's not just about the buildings and the flowers and the buses. It's what you do with all that that really, really, really matters. And I think, to me, like the biggest impact, maybe, well, I mean, she's done so many things that I guess it's hard to say that, but one of the big impacts that Susan's legacy has on this entire campus is when people come to this place, and we all run into people all the time and say, I haven't been there in 20 years. And you say, just come back, I dare you. And when they step foot on this campus, it's wow, I had no idea. I had no idea. And I remember the flowers in the first year. This place is a dump. We need to clean it up. And I was kind of skeptical. And then you saw the transformation that first spring, and you're like, well, this place isn't half bad. And it's far better than not half bad these days. And we owe that to you for really, I think coming in from the outside and saying, you guys have no idea what your potential is. And you have to have the ambition that matches your potential and wake up. And so we woke up, and here we are today. And we owe so much to you for that. And I'm still kind of pissed that I'm on the board because of you. So, as are most of the other trustees as well, pissed at you that I'm on the board. And so, but anyway, I mean, I think the legacy you've left and the leaders who've come behind you is to take that and to continue to push the enterprise to really be what it can be and what it can be in the state of Connecticut. I think if I were to take one takeaway from you and something that I try to bring in my involvement with the university is you were not afraid to tell it like it is, even when it's not what people want to hear, and it's not easy, and it's not popular. And you took a lot of heat and a lot of punches and a lot of cheap shots over the years to make this place what it is. And that just sticks with me, that if you had the conviction to do that, and many times had to stand up alone and take, a torrent of abuse, and we still manage to get you in the papers these days so unfairly. But you always kept a smile on your face and said, it's fine, even when it wasn't. So thank you so much for everything you've done. I love the fact that this building will now bear your name, as frankly should this entire campus. But we'll start with this building and work from there. And I love the fact that when you stepped down, I remember we had a conversation, and I said, you're going to be out of here in 5 minutes. And you said, it's more like 10. And you're still here today, and you're such a great role model for our students. And the work you do and in your area of study is incredible. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to introduce the real chairman, the one we all know is the chairman. I'm just filling the seat for him while he's doing other things, but everyone knows Larry.
Thank you very much, and it's great to be back. I had a dinner back in May, and Susan was one of the speakers. And I said at that dinner that she was the individual that transformed the University of Connecticut. The years before her were troublesome. There were things that were going on that caused some problems. So that search for Susan Herbst was really one of the most important things that we had to do and did for the University of Connecticut. When she was interviewed, we knew almost immediately that Susan was the individual that we wanted. What we were afraid of at that time was that Susan was being recruited by other schools in this country, and in fact, a Big Ten school. So at that meeting, I don't go by what people say, I go body language all the time, so Rochelle knows that. That always tells you the truth. So what I did was I looked around the room after her interview, and it was really a wow time. It was unbelievable what she did in that interview. So Susan left, and we started to talk, and we said, we can't lose her. So I said, where did she go? And she says, it was in the airport, and she says, she's going to the gate. So I looked to my friend Tom Ritter. I said, go talk to her. And Tom says, what do you want me to do? I said, you're the lawyer, get it done. He came back with a 2-page thing, and that's where we went. Now, yeah, we don't. Searchers are kind of unique, so you got to watch that. But you're all friends here. But it was a very important thing that we did that, because I don't think if we had moved that quick, we would have gotten Susan. But she was Susan. She loved the interviewing process. It was a great search group. People really got involved in it. And she fell in love with UConn, I think, at that point. So the biggest decision and the most important thing that I felt that I did and our board did during the 8 years I was chair was to hire Susan Herbst. We saw a candidate and a president who was smart, savvy, sophisticated, driven, capable, and fearless, which is so important. But more than anything else, my takeaway with Susan is that she exemplified what it is to be a leader. And I mean a real leader. And I mean an effective leader. She was absolutely the right leader for UConn at the right time. She was a trailblazer, the first woman hired as a president in the 130-year history of UConn. Now, you know, a person running a major $2 billion plus research university has to make important and potentially far-reaching decisions just about every day. And the bigger and more important the decision, the more thought has to go into it. Susan looked at decisions from different angles and considered different possibilities, as you would expect. But her most important consideration always was what was best for UConn. If she made a decision that she felt would strengthen, enhance, and protect this university for the long term, and it was popular, that was great. But more important, if she made a decision that wasn't popular, then it was fine too, because she knew that she was always acting in UConn's best interest. When you look at her record of achievement over those 8 years, she is without question one of the most effective presidents this university has ever had. Bar none. And as I say all the time, at that period, she was the best college president in the country. By every measure, we are a better, stronger university than when she had started. As was mentioned by Radenka, everything that she has done, from the campuses to the programs to the faculty to diversity to all of this, which is so important, she instituted it. You know, leadership does matter. Also, some of what you're here today, she built a very, very impressive leadership team, led by her outstanding Chief of Staff, Rochelle Rubin. She let them know that if they exercised good judgment and made good decisions, she would support them to the wall. And she did that, I can tell you. And that is leadership also, because that is what happens on a university. The president can only do so much. Her executive staff and those that she hired had to do everything out on the university. But you know what she did? She built loyalty, trust, and confidence between the board and herself, between herself and her team, which I mentioned before, many are here today. And I cannot think of a better thing to do than we're doing today to honor this wonderful, wonderful university. The dedication of Herbst Hall is well-deserved. We all remain very proud of you for what you accomplished as a president. And working together with our wonderful Board of Trustees, we made one hell of a team. I'm honored that Herbst Hall and McHugh Hall are situated almost right across from one another. Get a little teary on this, maybe. With the buildings standing together for all time on this campus, as we stood together as president and board chair over those many years, working on behalf of this fantastic university. You are a very important figure in the history of UConn. We're all grateful for your service, leadership, and your dedication to excellence. You have made a huge difference at UConn and have earned a distinguished place in its long history. Congratulations, my friend. A job well done.
Kara, am I up next? Isn't it me? Thanks so much. Thank you, Radenka. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Larry. I'll get to in a minute. It's such a great honor to have this gorgeous functional building named after me, and I'm so honored. To the entire board, thank you. I'm one of a small number of presidents, and I know a lot of presidents and a lot of boards who was blessed with a consistently supportive, super smart, optimistic board. Very few presidents have that over their time, and I relied on it like a gift every one of my days of my 8 years. Thankful beyond words to Larry. This is the part where I cry, so maybe I'll keep it short. But he thought the same thing I was thinking, that our buildings face each other almost. I mean, if you kind of crane your neck, we can see each other because we belong together for eternity. And so we'll always be looking at each other. And, you know, nothing I accomplished would have been possible without Larry standing behind us all the time. So thank you. Many thanks to Luis Alvarez-Ruhr. Is he here? He's the painter of the portrait. Yeah, there he is. Hi, Luis. And so I think that's what's behind there. It's magnificent. I haven't seen it in person, but I saw pictures, and it's been a pleasure to get to know you and spend time. And he is just an extremely talented artist who has painted way more important people than me. Very grateful. Michelle Williams, for getting it all organized at lightning speed. Where is she? Great artistic sensibility. Luis would send us a picture, and Michelle would be like, her hair is not right, this and that. I thought it looked fine. And but she got it done, and I'm incredibly grateful again to her, Radenka, Dan. Thanks to all these folks. It's a long list for making every day of my presidency possible with incredible talents, senses of humor. That's my number one thing I need in an employee. They can be incompetent, but if they laugh at my jokes, it's all good. extraordinary dedication, and telling me, which happened a lot in Gully Hall, when my ideas are kooky or just off. I'm looking at you, Mike Kirk and Tyson over. So here are the people that made it happen, everything I accomplished. Rochelle Rubin, the OG, badass chief, boss of us all. I think you all know that. Lillian Deb Sulak, where is she? Hiding? Yeah. Sulak Lindsay, Jen Burkhardt, Mike Kirk, Tyson, Stephanie, Gail, Joanne, Andrea, Dan Wiener, if he's here, Nathan, Nicole, Laura Cruikshank, chief architect, and Dave Benedict. Not to mention so many terrific deans, faculty, staff, who I'm sure I didn't name. Thanks to Kara and Robin for this lovely event and for the hundreds you organized with me over the years, and thanks for putting up with my ideas about events, too. Thanks to my amazing, hilarious family. They love UConn as much as I do. So we have Doug, Daniel, Rebecca, and Uncle Steve. All here, big UConn fans. So our son Daniel reminded me that Herbst, that's our family name, it means autumn in German, and it has a lot of layers. It's my father's name, and he was a German refugee turned American GI whose life was transformed by the GI Bill that sent him to City College of New York, another truly great public university. Just as today, when we have hundreds of veterans thriving on all of our campuses. And I always feel as though fall, Herbst, it's not the way you pronounce it. Really. Any German speakers, it's more like Herbst. It's not pleasant, yeah. But we have, I feel like fall is the best season for a university. I mean, if we can't sell ourselves today, but fall, it's beautiful, it's cool, the trees are magical, students, faculty, staff are excited to be back. Campus is always in the fall full of promise and community and joy about the school year ahead. All right, indulge me, it's almost done. Thomas Jefferson, I'm back to reading the founders again in these fraught times. Always go back to the founders. They had a lot of wisdom. They would not be surprised by today, but they'd be sad. But Thomas Jefferson loved his public university, Virginia, as much as he loved inchoate America. He called a campus, I used to use this a lot when I was here, an academical village. He was obsessive about architecture in Virginia. Jefferson believed fiercely that a sense of physical place was important. He argued that the look and the feel of a campus, of a college campus, and the learning that happened are completely conflated. They fit together, the architecture and the learning, the knowledge, they fit together. They make us feel like a thinking, open, moral, cohesive community. Our structures, our lawns, our paths, our gathering places, even our flowers, create a magical place that lifts us to the virtuous, challenging life of the mind. We have 5 wonderful departments in this building. We have journalism, linguistics, economics, literatures, cultures, and languages, and political science. Not that I play favorites, but that's my department. These are vital disciplines to this campus and to the nation. Thanks so much to any faculty who are here and staff for annoying work ahead as you change the name of the building on your business cards and whatnot. I'm very grateful. Last, in my close reading of UConn's history, and I go to history a lot, and I did when I was here, there are really 2 pivot points in UConn history. One is the presidency of Albert Jorgensen. He was the president for 30 years, starting in 1935. That doesn't happen anymore. He was the master builder. He turned UConn from a small, good agricultural college to a research university with super high ambitions. The other pivot point was UConn 2000. It's the transformational legislation that built this building and so many of the others that you see around you. Our own Tom Ritter, there he is, as Speaker of the House and premier UConn champion, as always. He was key to that multi-year political, financial, architectural, cultural triumph. So we should all thank him for seeing into the future, understanding that Jeffersonian link between physical space and knowledge and learning, and thereby making UConn what it is today. So thanks, everybody.